Hello, I've got a little bit to talk to you about this week, mostly weaving, entirely weaving, but I'd just like to point out and highlight that this is Work in Progress Wednesday number 150, which is a lot of Works in Progress Wednesdays. And thank you for being here, and thank you for watching, and thank you for putting up with my wildly unprofessional nonsense. I appreciate you. Now let's talk about weaving. Oh, that went so well. My unprofessional nonsense strikes again. This came off the loom. That was going to drop down and roll and be really, really impressive. It wasn't, but it could have been. This is the silk. So this is the Ito silk for the warp, the solid blue there. And then this coloured changing silk. It's not colour changing. It's variegated. Completely different. This variegated silk is by Changeling Coloured Yarns, and it is Shadow of a Bird in the rustic silk. And I can put a link in the description to that now because she's listed it on the website. I say she, I mean Melissa, who does the dyeing. And it shifts through to this really, really beautiful purple, and I love it. It came out so well. Now, it's a textured yarn. I don't know if I showed you last week. I can't remember, and I could watch back and find out, but I don't have that kind of time. Let me find a good example of this texture. Here we go. So it's a thick and a thin yarn. Some of the bits of this yarn are very, very thin, and some of them are very, very thick. Stop me if I get technical, which means that it's got, the stripes are not uniform, and that's fine because it's rustic. So it's worked really beautifully, I think, on that warp, and I'm just really happy with it. It's soft, it's drapey, and it has come out beautifully. Now, the little loom is just over here, so I'm going to grab it because I've got that warped up again, and I'll show you what I've got. I'm going to wave that around because the drape's so good. I'm going to grab my little loom and show you that, and then we're going to talk about, I'm down here, it's all right. And then we're going to talk about the big loom. Hang on. So the little loom is more of the Ito. Now the reason being, I'll show you that close up. It looks pretty plain because it is pretty plain. I've got a little bit of texture in. I've double warped some of the holes and slots. So I don't know that it's showing up on camera. Maybe if I do that, you can see that there's 4 slightly thicker, slightly more dense stripes in there just for a bit of visual interest. But overall, it's just going to be a plain weave. The reason I'm doing this is because I had loaded this shuttle with all of this silk because that silk scarf was going to be slightly different. I was going to alternate the thicker silk with the thinner silk to get a visual effect. And it kind of worked, but it didn't work very well. So I unwove it, but then I had all of this on the shuttle still. And I was looking at that thinking, I don't want to unload that shuttle. Manually unloading a shuttle is tedious. So I thought what I'll do is slowly unload it while weaving. So it's very fresh on the loom, as always. There's my hem stitching, just there. I did warp this up on Monday, and I just haven't had a chance to get really stuck into it. But there's a little bit of progress, which you can see the difference in the stripes if I hold it up against the lighter background. So that's just going to be a plain weave to the end. I don't know how long it's going to be. I didn't measure. I never do. I do sometimes. To say I never do is a lie. I do sometimes measure. So that's what's happening on the little loom. The big loom, I do have my scrappy project off, which I'm going to bend over and get for you now. Don't know why I said it like that. I haven't warped it up again yet because this came off the loom last night and I haven't had a chance, and it takes ages, turns out. I had forgotten. So let me just see if I can arrange myself neatly, unlikely, and get this down here. Don't worry, I'm coming back. And here is the scrappy project. So looking at this close up while I was weaving, I was wondering if it was working at all. It looked a bit chaotic, but now that it's off the loom, I mean, it is definitely not necessarily colours that I would have chosen to put together, but I really love it. I love the scrappy nature of it. I love how all the colours are playing or not playing together in some cases. So this is one panel of 2 to potentially 3 to make a cape out of. A capelet, not a full cape. Although I could make a full cape. I could also slow down and let the words form before I let them out of my face, but it's too late to start now. Don't think about extra projects while you're still working on one. Good advice. So yes, this is one panel. I'm going to warp up another panel probably tonight and then continue on. So if you missed last week, this is going to be a cape. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut my weaving and make a cape. But I need enough fabric to do that with. And it is the magic ball for the weft, so all my leftovers tied together into a magic ball, and then just stash yarns for the warp. So the warp there. The great thing about this is I can just knot the fringes and not worry about them. I don't have to hem stitch or anything. The other thing you can do, if you don't need to secure your fringe because you're going to cut it off later or whatever, you can just run a zigzag stitch down the edge. But I broke my machine needle and I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered changing it. So I just knotted the fringe. So that's panel 1. I've got one more to do and possibly a third one. I'm going to do another one and then make sure I've got enough fabric to make the pattern. So this hasn't been wet finished or anything. It literally did come off the loom last night. So, a couple more things down here to talk about. It's all right, I'm coming back. Just let me get myself organised. Here we go. So I wanted to say this a couple of weeks ago, but I can say it now. Behold, a triangle. Do you remember this? Do you remember this project from ages ago? So I am making triangles. Wow. Ow. I am making triangles, just not very quickly and not very many. But it is still in progress. This is going to be, this along with, I think, 24 of its friends, I think it was 25 that I needed to make, is going to be a shawl. I just have to actually get them woven. So there is one. And I don't know how many I've done. I think now I'm up to a grand total of possibly 8. So it's going very smoothly and very, very fast. Now, before I go, I'm just going back down here again for a second. I've got a lot of bags and stuff down here. How many times have I said I need a table? Okay, hang on, let me sort myself out here somewhat. So, I had a parcel today, and in it was some heddles for the little loom, and I want to show you these because the little loom heddles are so cute. Look how cute and little. So this is a 5 dent, and then this one is a 12.5 dent. Now that just means, the number just means how many threads per inch. So as you can see, what did I say that was? A 5 dent. I should know, I'm the one who ordered it. So the 5 dent has 5 threads per inch for your chunky yarns, and the 12.5 has 12.5 threads per inch for your finer yarns. I bought 2 heddles when I bought the little loom because I wasn't expecting to use the little loom as much as I do. I love it. I love using the little loom. And I'm not just saying that because you can hear me. So I thought it was time to get some more heddles so I can use some different yarn weights. And I also I treated myself to a pickup stick. Now these are, just let me organise myself, these are used to create floats, deliberate floats in a weave. So a float in a weave, I can actually show you because I've got an example on my big piece that I made. A float is when the thread isn't caught properly. So let me see if I can find one. There's hundreds. Well, hundreds isn't a stretch. There's a couple. There's a few. There were some that I saw not long ago. It is just where the thread is not caught for whatever reason in the weave. There we go. There's one. So you might be able to see there. There we go. So this long bit here, that was supposed to go under and over and under like it was, like the rest, like its friends, and it didn't for whatever reason. Probably caught it with the shuttle, tension went wonky or whatever. So that's an example of a float. There's actually a really long one on the side because the tension at the end went really, really bad. And I didn't notice because I was watching ER. So let me see if I can find you that long float. It was in the grey. There it is. So here on the edge, oops, you can see that long float there where it just wasn't caught when I was weaving. And that's fine because that bit's probably going to be cut off because I'm cutting this up, so I'm not that stressed. But you can do floats deliberately. I was going to chuck that on the floor. I'm not going to do that because it's not floor, it's ground. You can create floats deliberately with a pickup stick to create design elements. And I didn't have a pickup stick for the little loom. I only had one for the 60 centimetre loom, which is too much pickup stick for my little loom. So I treated myself, because I've been using a shuttle and everything, a pickup stick is easier because it's got a point. So for doing things like lino lace and stuff like that, this is really handy. And it's really pointy, ow. That's my own fault. I can blame no one but myself. That is all I have for you this week, I think. I've talked about the little loom, I've talked about that, I've talked about that, I've talked about this. We're all good. I've covered everything. You take care of yourself, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.